Hey guys, Jim here with another video for you. I just got home from seeing The Long Walk at the cinema and I thought I would do a review. But before I begin, if you like this video at the end, please consider giving me a thumbs up, if possible subscribe, but most importantly, please leave comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are about this film, whether you've seen it or not, whether you have any desire to see it, or any questions you might have about the film. Now, as I said, I went and saw The Long Walk today, and let me give you a little bit of background about this before I actually get into the facts about the movie. The Long Walk is based on a novel by Stephen King. It was written while he was in high school and finished his freshman year of college, and it wasn't published until 12 years later in 1979. And when it was published underneath his pseudonym pen name, Richard Bachman. I first came across this novel in like 1986 or so, when it was published as part of a compilation called the Bachman Books. And it originally had 4 novels, including The Long Walk and The Running Man, among others. And I read the book. I was about the same age as the characters in the book, and it struck a huge chord with me, so much so that to this day, it's one of the best things, in my mind at least, that Stephen King has ever written. It's definitely a top 5 novel for me as far as his books go. So that's my little bit of background with the source material. Okay, so let's get into the movie. The Long Walk. It's from Lionsgate. The runtime is 1 hour and 48 minutes. It is rated R for language and extreme violence throughout in adult situations. Based on the novel by Stephen King, written by screenplay by J.T. Mollner, and directed by Francis Lawerence. The stars of this film, and there's quite a few. I'm just going to run through their names real quick and their names of their characters, and then we'll get a little bit further into it as we go. But starring Cooper Hoffman, David Jonsson, Tut Nieuwat, Ben Wang, Garrett Waring, Charlie Plummer, Judy Greer, and Mark Hamill, among others. The plot of the film is this. It takes place in a dystopia, alternate reality almost of America, where basically a war has totally crippled the nation financially, spiritually, in every way. And for the last 20 years, they've been having an annual competition called The Long Walk, where one young man from each state is involved in this competition. And the rules are simple. They start walking, and they have to maintain a steady pace of 3 miles an hour. If they drop below that 3 miles an hour, they get a warning. If they get 3 warnings within an hour's time, they get their ticket. And what that is they get shot in the head right there on the road. The only other rules is that you cannot impede any other walker, and you cannot leave the road. If you do, you will immediately get your ticket. And that's it as far as the competition goes. And it seems very simple, and it is a very simple plot device. But like the best Stephen King stories, it's the characters that suck you in and get you involved. And in this case, my God, there are some incredible, incredible performances from a bunch of young actors that, quite frankly, I'm not that familiar with. Cooper Hoffman is the star. He plays Ray Garrity, or number 47. And his co-star is David Jonsson, Pete McVries, number 23. Now, David Jonsson I had seen in Alien Romulus, and I thought he was the best thing about that movie as far as the cast went. Cooper Hoffman I saw in Licorice Pizza, and the same thing. I thought he was great. He is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course. Joining those two are 2 other members of their walking party, Tut Nieuwat, who plays Art Baker, number 6, and Ben Wang, Hank Olson, number 46. And the 4 of them kind of joined together to form the Musketeers, as they call it. They figure it's better to have a friend for a short period of time than not at all, and it helps pass the time. And they figure they'll just sit there and keep each other company and help each other out until they can no longer do so. Along also are a couple of other, there's 50 competitors and all, but I want to mention a couple of others. Garrett Waring, who plays Stubbins, number 38, who's a strong silent type. Doesn't really say much during the most of the movie. He's kind of a mystery. And at the beginning of the movie, all the kids are noticing that he's the one that seems the most physically fit. And he's probably the favorite to win this whole thing. But his motives are unknown, exactly what's going on with him. And then we've got Charlie Plummer playing Gary Barkovich, number 5. Gary is probably, or Barkovich, I should say, is probably the closest thing to a villain there is among the walkers. He's a mentally troubled man, and he loves antagonizing his fellow walkers. And no spoilers, I'm going to try to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible, but he does something about a third into the movie that more or less makes the entire group of walkers go against him. And it's an incredibly difficult scene to watch, as most of this film is incredibly difficult to watch. The last 2 characters I have to mention is Judy Greer, who plays Ginny Garrity, the main character, Ray's mother. She's in a couple of scenes, and my God, is she heartbreaking. She is wonderful in the part, and I've always been a fan of Judy Greer. It's her best performance I've ever seen. She's phenomenal. And the last character I have to mention is the Major, who is the antagonist of the film, and he is played by Mark Hamill in a great bit of counter casting. You don't expect Mark Hamill to play this type of character, and this guy he's a piece of shit. He's a military fascist who believes that he's basically running this whole competition, and the whole time when these guys are walking, he's just trudging along on his little Jeep and giving them words of encouragement, telling them about how much sack they have and this and that and the other. And yeah, great performance. Over the top, but great performance, mainly because, again, you don't expect that from Mark Hamill. And that's about it. I don't want to go into it too much because, again, this movie is all about the characters and the relationships that they make along the way. And more importantly, the relationship you as an audience member has with these people. I went and saw this movie with my sister and her niece and and my niece's partner. And all 3 of them were emotional wrecks throughout this film. I kind of knew what was to expect because, again, I have a very good history with the source material. But, again, no spoilers here. The ending is different than the book. And I was surprised by the ending. Everything else in the movie is straight from the text. The brutality, the humor, the questions that the reader, or in this case the viewer, might have about the logistics of this, like, hey, what happens if you have to go to the bathroom? Well, this movie's going to show you in graphic detail. What happens if, you have to tie your shoe? What happens if you get a rock in your shoe? What happens if you get sick? Again, all of these things, which normally don't seem like that big of a deal, come into play into this warped competition, and it pays off beautifully. Again, I don't want to go too far into the plot. I will give you my wrap-up feelings for the film. First and foremost, I thought it was an incredible film. I had very high hopes for this, and those hopes were met and exceeded. I cannot be more ecstatic on how well this movie turned out, considering how much I love the original source material. Quite honestly, I didn't think anybody would ever have the balls to do it. And Francis Lawrence, who most people know has directed quite a few of the Hunger Games films, does a great job on this. And J.T. Mollner's screenplay is fantastic as well. The performances across the board are phenomenal. Especially, like I said, Judy Greer as the mother. She does the most she can with the limited screen time that she has. But the 4 Musketeers, Cooper Hoffman, Tut Nyot, Ben Wing, and especially David Jonsson as Pete. All 4 of them are phenomenal, as is the rest of the cast. There's not a single performance in this movie that is bad. It's just, I don't want to hype it up too much, but to me, it's the best movie of the year. So far, it is the best movie I have seen this year, and I will be watching it again. So to sum this up, I'm going to give this movie 5 out of 5. It's not a perfect film, but it is a great film. It really is. And the other thing I do want to mention that I didn't earlier is the score by Jeremiah Freites, a composer I'm not familiar with. The music in this movie sets the tone perfectly, and it just adds to the tension. That's the great thing about this movie. You would think that watching 50 guys walk would be kind of boring. Trust me, this movie is not boring. You don't even see a title card until 20 minutes in. And this movie flies by. It's great. I cannot recommend this film enough. Technically, it is a horror film, but it is not. It's a horror because it's a horrific situation, and they do not shy away from the violence. But it's just as much horror as, say, Squid Game is. Because Hunger Games, Squid Game, Battle Royale, all of those films and books have something in common with this story, and this story predates all of them. So that's how I'm going to wrap up this review. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, please leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about this video. Let me know how you feel about the movie. Let me know if you have any questions about the movie. I'll be happy to discuss it with you further. So anyways, we're going to call it, it's been about 11 minutes, so I hope everybody has a great weekend, great day wherever you are. We'll catch you on the next one.